So welcome, Raquel Pennington, UFC bantamweight champion, and also Tecia Pennington, and also Alea Rose. Am I pronouncing it correctly?
You are.
So a beautiful family. Welcome to ESPN Deportes Digital. Happy Pride Month.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we have been wanting to talk to you to celebrate Pride Month, and also just to find out about you guys as a family, as how you juggle life in the UFC as a couple, and all of that. So welcome.
Awesome. Thank you.
So tell us about, I guess let's start about how you guys met.
So for me, the short version is, so prior to the UFC, women weren't allowed prior to 2013. So 2012, Invicta Fighting Championships is around. It's still around today, still making waves for women. Amazing. All female promotion. So that was the king of the king you could be in, at that time for women. Raquel had already been with Invicta since Invicta FC2. I saw the promotion and I was like, oh man, I really would love to be there. I got the opportunity as well. So at Invicta FC3, we actually fought on the same card. This is October 2012. And that's where we initially met. Then we were just like fighter friends. And when we'd like go to events, we'd text each other, be like, hey, you're going to be here. Let's hang out, blah, blah, blah. 2016, 4 years later, International Fight Week, which is coming up next week, or this week rather. Amanda Nunes was fighting. I think that's when she initially won the title. I want to say it's when she initially won the title.
UFC 200.
Or she was, yeah. So we were going there. Amanda and Nina are two of my great friends. And I don't know, something clicked that weekend. And from that weekend on, 8 years later, we're still making waves. And we have a baby now.
But it's nice. You started as friends.
Yes. So we've known each other for 12 years now. It's been a long time.
And is it hard to juggle both of you being in the same career, being fighters?
I would say initially at first it was hard for us. It was hard trying to find a balance. I think we struggled because we're two different athletes, and we're two different people. And so just trying to find that balance and the way we worked, trying to have a home life and a gym life, not bring home the gym life or not bring our home life into the gym. There was a lot of balance that was needed there. So we went through our struggles with that, but then we learned we found a dynamic that worked for us. We split up our training sessions. You have most couples who they can go to a gym or they can go to work. They can go to work. And when they go to work, they have that space. We didn't have space. We were waking up. We were going to the gym all day together. We were coming home. We were having lunch. We were taking our naps. We were going back to the gym. We were coming home. We were having dinner. So there was no space. And I'm a person who actually I like my space. I like my solitude. And so we started splitting up some sessions, kind of just making it a little different. And then from there, it turned into, I think we found that balance. And then after we found that balance, we had a baby. So now we're learning this new balance with a baby.
How has that been? One full year. Congratulations. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
It's been different. For Tecia, just trying to find both of us. But because she was breastfeeding and stuff, she was getting a little bit less sleep. And so the motivation was a little bit tougher. When I went into fight camp for the world title fight, I actually had to move into the guest bedroom. And then when Tecia just now fought her fight, she moved into the guest bedroom. So we've been kind of finding that balance. We're definitely late to everything now. It's been tough. So our coaches, they're super patient with us. They're like, you guys have an excuse now. But other than that, we're figuring it out. Everybody at our gym is super helpful. We can sit there. We kind of alternate. So yesterday I sparred and Tecia sat there and she was kind of coaching me and she was watching the baby. But then at the same time, all the coaches' wives, they're amazing in the gym. They come in and they're like our babysitters and help us out. So we're figuring it out. But it definitely adds a different dynamic to everything.
And then,
for me, it's been the best year ever. I don't know what life was before her. Being a mom is amazing. She's if we could put the perfect daughter on a piece of paper, she would be that plus 100. Yeah, it's just been awesome. I really enjoyed it. I know Raquel's really enjoyed it. It's been awesome to see her transition into a mom as well. Yeah, dynamic of training and stuff is a lot different. But all in all, it's the best thing ever.
She seems like such a happy baby.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
so happy. We've definitely lucked out so far, but I'll tell you what, like I grew up with nothing but guy cousins and a brother. And you know, for being my grandparents, I have a female cousin, but she was never really around, so I was their granddaughter, and I just put everybody to the max on stress levels growing up. And my mom's like, you know, just wait until you have a baby. And we have her, and now that her little personality is starting to come out, she's turning into the biggest daredevil. And I'm like, man, my mom was not kidding. Like, it's about to be handed back to me on this one. I think Tecia and I will definitely have our hands full, and she brings a lot of joy, but I think she's gonna stress us out at the same time too.
It'll go fast. I mean, I have a 17-year-old daughter. So I love having a girl. So.
I know. I always wanted a little boy at first. I guess just growing up being a tomboy and being with all the guys and stuff. So I was like, no, I don't want a little girl. And then right before we ended up having a baby, I was like, I think it would be really cool to have a little mini. And so we talked a lot about it. And when we decided to do our gender reveal party, I've never hoped for a little girl so much. And now that we got a little girl, it's like, you know, we have I have my nephews, I have godson, like all the boys in the family. And I'm like, I still want another little girl when we have another baby.
So what's next for you two in the octagon? I guess, how do we go? Well, first, Tecia, you kind of met your goal of returning in the first half of the year.
I did. It was awesome. I mean, I feel great about it now looking back or whatever, but honestly, after the fight, like, I was like, man, am I going to give this up? Because I worked so hard and I did so good, and like, I still think I won the fight. I mean, I lost split decision. All the media thought I won the fight. Even I think the girl thought I won the fight, because when they called her name for, like, they did Tecia, Tabitha, and then Tabitha again, she was very surprised. And hell, I was surprised. But I mean, I can't be mad at her because it was the judges who chose it, you know. But on paper, I won, and to everybody else. So, like, since I do believe I won, like, I got to give myself one more chance. If I really thought I lost, then I might have hung it up. But since I believe that I beat her, I want to do it again. So I'm waiting for them to give me an offer, and then, you know, I'll accept it or whatnot. But that's what I'm doing. I'm just waiting right now. And honestly, I don't have really any motivation. I would love him to call me so I can get some motivation. But I'm just enjoying, you know, probably what's next for Raquel and, you know, her defense at the end of the year.
For me, I actually leave later today. I'm flying out to International Fight Week as a guest athlete. So doing all the festivities, interacting with all the fans and stuff. And then I'll come home. I'm going to start getting back on the grind a little bit. I've been helping Rose Namajunas and Miranda Maverick with their camps. So it's been nice to just kind of be in there, but now I want to get a little bit more consistent for myself. I'm looking to defend my title. UFC and I have spoke for around the October timeframe. And most likely that'll be against Juliana Pena. So we're just waiting for that.
That's the fight you really wanted.
That is the fight I've been waiting for what, 13 years now? What are we, 11 years.
So it's time.
Yeah, title or not, like, I've just been waiting to fight Juliana. So I'm excited for that one.
And how does it feel, though, to have the title now?
For the longest time, it was really surreal. It was just, you know, I mean, it was a weird, it's an honor to go out there and be able to fight for the title in the first place, to be able to have a second shot at it and actually accomplish that goal. It's a feeling that, like, I still can't really put into words. I mean, it's been 14 years of hard work for that ultimate goal right there. But I don't know, my world title fight week was just like, it was so weird. I ended up sick. Like, everything that could have gone wrong was just starting to go wrong. It was a very emotional week. I went into the fight and, like, you know how sometimes when you get sick, you just either like want to cuddle up and lay down and like you just can't function, or as an athlete, other times I want to go to the gym and just like sweat it out and feel better. Like my body was at a point that like I just wanted to cuddle up and lay down and feel better. Like I don't even know what was going on. And so it definitely turned into an emotional week. Tecia shed some tears. My coaches, you know, they brought in my sports psychologist. We just had to really push through. We just had to really push through a different dynamic. And then going out there into the fight was just interesting. You know, they're announcing our names, and why they're announcing our names, I remember. Mommy, hey.
No?
Girlfriend.
Okay.
And so while they were announcing our names, I was talking to my coaches and I was just like, this is going to hurt, because I had no adrenaline. Like I was so flat. So the coaches, they were like, hey, like, we don't care what this looks like. The ultimate goal, like, just go out there, get it. It doesn't need to be perfect. Just do the damn thing. Drag her in deep waters. We know she's going to get tired. And so that became our game plan. And so initially at first, like, on top of not feeling good, and then my fight not going, because as athletes, we have such high expectations for ourselves. And I unlocked a different part of me in camp that, like, I was just really excited to go out and, like, finally showcase. And then I had to climb another mountain. So, like, there was initial disappointment. Like, I wanted something so different, but that's the fun part about fighting, is we get another chance to go out there and do it again. And so I'm really excited because, you know, the world judges you regardless. You can have the perfect night and the world is going to have something to say. We have some really brutal fans in this sport, but, like, I love it because as an opponent, like, you look at that fight and it's like, oh, I have so many answers on how to beat her. And then as, like, whatever, a fan and people just talking and stuff, but then I can go out there and then the fight with Juliana or whoever's next, you know, it gets to be completely different. So it took a little while for me to get past not feeling good. I think Tecia ended up sick. The baby ended up sick. She ended up in the hospital. I don't know what we had. Half of my coaching staff got sick. And it was just like a long month after that. And so finally trying to soak in and let the world title kick in, and then everything that comes along with it, all the obligations and different things that you have to kind of bounce around and do, and then the things that you just get to do. It was a lot at once, but now that it's soaked in, like, I fully embraced it. I'm enjoying it. Like, just to sit there and sit back and it's like, man, like, I am the world champion. Like, I'm not just a champion of Colorado. I'm not just a champion of the United States. Like, I'm the world champion, and everybody is, like, looking to be that. And the reality of it, I mean, Tecia knows it, and we talk about it. Like, most people don't even get that opportunity. As a fighter, like, we're hoping for that, but most people don't even get to fight for the world title, much less even become a world champion. So, you know, it's something that I went out there, I've worked hard for, I never gave up on myself. And now, like, I've made my place. I'm the 6th ever women's bantamweight champion, and love me or hate me, like, you can never take that away from me. So I'm proud.
Tecia, you said, you know, definitely I'm going to give myself another chance. I mean, you have 2 losses, but straight losses with 2 years in between, but they were really close fights.
I don't want to give up yet. Like, I've talked to Raquel numerous times about it. Like, I really did want to give up that night, but I really think I beat both Mackenzie and Tabitha. So, I mean, shit, I got to do something different. I don't know. Like, Mackenzie fight, I was like, okay, she was a little bit more aggressive than me, but even though she was more aggressive than me in the 1st and 3rd round, I outstruck her. So I was like, okay, with Tabitha, I'm going to be more aggressive. So I believe that I was the aggressor in this fight, and, like, she couldn't take me down. She was bleeding from her nose. I had the more damage. Like, I don't see how I lost that fight at all. That one was, like, I thought way more convincing than the Mackenzie fight. So I don't know. I got to give myself another chance. So I hope I get a good fight next, but I got to do something different. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to do something different to get my head raised.
I think, you know, Tecia and I have talked a lot or whatnot, and, you know, this sport can bring the highs and the lows. And, you know, obviously she hit a low wanting to come back after a 2-year layoff, after becoming a mom and stuff. And, like, just all the emotions that come behind it. And then for it to just be in the judge's hands, like, that's one thing. Like, I told her, I was like, you know, you're the tiny tornado for a reason. Your fights, when I first met you on Invicta, like, I don't know how you kept that pace, but really, like, you got to shift something in your brain. And most people are not going to be able to hang with that. So I think if Tecia just really turns it up, but at the end of the day, it's hard being female athletes and finding that balance. She struggles with the fact of, like, wanting another baby already. And so it's like, just trying to find the balance of family life and being athletes and stuff. But I think for me, I see so much in Tecia, and I was really excited for her to have her return. Obviously, it's disappointing the way that it went, but at the end of the day, like, win or lose, she has so much more to give. So personally, as a partner, like, I want to continue to push her, and I want her to go out there and, like, fulfill that part of her that's still there. She's truly in love with mixed martial arts. And right now I just feel like she's kind of in that confused phase. And we've definitely all been there. I've been there multiple times throughout my career, but I'll tell you what, like, she's not done yet. And so she's definitely going to be returning. And so we'll see when.
So for those who say, oh, they're both in their mid-30s, there's still a lot to give for both of you, right? Is that?
A lot of people. So I used to say back in the day, like, when I first started this sport in 2010, yeah, you looked at athletes in their 30s. 35 was old as an athlete. And don't get me wrong, I'm 35 now, and I feel things a lot different. I recover very differently. It takes me a lot longer to warm up. I just have to be smarter with it. But medicine has changed so much. Sports medicine, recovery, everything. And so as long as you're smart with it, I honestly feel like I'm in my prime. I feel phenomenal at this point. And so that's what's exciting to me, is because most people are like, oh, you're on your way out. I think as you get closer to a little bit more of like 40, 41, 42, there is a significant difference in that. And so it's like, okay, yeah, that can be an accurate argument there. But right now, like, I feel like I've truly matured as an athlete. I feel like I've matured as a person. I became a mom. I have a different level of motivation. We just had to switch things up. And like I said, you just have to be smarter with your training and stuff. But overall, I feel absolutely in my prime, and I feel like it shows. I'm on a 6-fight win streak for a reason. I'm now the world champion, and I feel like Tecia, like, she's just got to find her groove and all that too. And I feel like she can absolutely do the same thing.
And how do both of you feel that it is to be an LGBTQ fighter in the UFC?
I feel like in the UFC, the sport that we do, it's not uncommon to be, part of the alphabet mafia, if you will, the ABCs. So I'm grateful that, like, being a lesbian in the sport is, for our sport at least, is not looked like frowned upon. Although there are people who have their own comments about it, other athletes as well. But for me, I'm myself, like, whether or not I'm with the women or not, I will use my platform always to be myself. I'm never going to hide who I am, like, I love Raquel, and I love her for many reasons. I don't love her just because she's a girl, there's so many great qualities about Raquel as a partner and as a friend. So for me, I think it's awesome that if there's other, young athletes or other women or people in general who look up to us as role models to them, because we are open about who we are and we don't care what other people say. We're still gonna love each other no matter what. Like, I don't know, I don't really think Raquel does, but I have family members. Hey, baby, I have family members who are really close to me that honestly I've lost relationships with because of who I am, and because I won't back down from being who I want to be, like, yeah, it sucks. Like, I cry a lot about some things. I'm sorry about that. But we have a baby.
This is real life.
But I'm always at the end of the day, I'm always going to be who I am.
I think for me, I've always been a person, my entire life, I've pretty much known that I've been into girls. I grew up being a huge tomboy. Everybody, like, judges me off of that, but, like, it's just the way I was raised in general. But I always felt something different. I went through a phase in life, honestly, where I was raised in a Catholic family. We're born into the society of the way that life should be. It should be a man and a woman. There's certain steps that we all are supposed to go through in life, the different things with school. You don't get a great job unless you go to college. And then from there you're supposed to get married, and, like, depending on the morals and values in that, like, it's something that's embedded into us since we're born. So I went through a phase in life where, I really struggled with the way that I am and liking women. I cried. I didn't want to be this way. Like, I didn't understand it. Like, I was going against everything. And then finally, one day I just, I came to terms with everything, and it was just like, all right, like I'm making myself more miserable fighting against myself. And so when I went to the Ultimate Fighter, my family knew, and I had a girlfriend. For them, it was still a friend, and they found their own balance in that. I wasn't raised to be affectionate in front of my family as far as with our partners. Like our grandparents didn't raise us that way. So that was never really like an issue or anything. But then when I went to the Ultimate Fighter, one of the producers was just like, hey, like my brother's really struggling. He was really down and out. His brother tried to commit suicide. He was gay and like just going through the struggles. And he's like, is there anybody on the show that's like willing to talk? And nobody else really wanted to open up and stuff. And I was like, hey, like I will. So I feel like I truly spread my wings. TV can make it out to be whatever they wanted to. And I feel like that's all they made me out to be instead of showing so much more of me. But I remember watching the premiere of my episode of my family, and everybody was so excited. And then when I started talking about just like who I am and like my happiness, it was crickets in the house. And my mom is my best friend. And, we got into a big fight. And I specifically remember her telling me that I was disrespecting my grandparents. And it was like, but why am I disrespecting my grandparents? And I was like, if anything, I'm disrespecting myself by not being true to who I am. And really, as human beings, it stems from love and fear. That's how we react. And so a lot of it came from fear. I think my mom was worried about how the world was going to accept me and the different things that were going to come. But it was really cool because after my episode aired, the fan mail that flooded in from like 75-year-olds and younger, just sharing their stories, sharing, that they wish they would have done life different, that they've just been living a life of a huge lie. And just everything that came in, the avenues that just opened, I went around, I did a ton of guest speakings. I talked to tons of kids who were genuinely struggling. I've done like suicide prevention, anti-bullying, but a lot of it has stemmed from a lot of kids just, fighting who they are. So I'm a huge believer in, we all have one life to live. We're all unique. And that's what makes this world beautiful. If we would all accept each other for who we are, the world would truly be a different place. But everybody's going to have an opinion. We all pass judgment in different ways and stuff. And that's why it creates the toxicity that goes around. But at the end of the day, all you can do is be true to who you are and have fun in everything that you're doing. And that's what, when I go around and I talk to people, like I preach it first and foremost, like, my life is my life. Like, I don't want to tell you how to live your life. I don't think anybody else should tell us how to live our lives. Like, we're over here just being happy, minding our own business, doing things, achieving goals as people. We're all human beings. Like, we bleed the same color. And at the end of the day, like, I've stood up for my heart. At the end of the day, I've stood up for what's true in my heart. And it's truly set me free. And, when Tecia and I first got together, there was one point when she was like, she came to Colorado and we spent the weekend. We went off the grid. It was obviously a new avenue for her. And then she was just like, hey, like, I want to be exclusive. And it was like, oh, really? But then the following weekend, we went to a UFC event and she was like, well, and she was kind of just like a little more distant and stuff. And I said, hey, like, I've spent my whole life, like, kind of trying to navigate through this. Like, I'm not going to go backwards with it. And it was just like, either kind of be loud and proud or like just kind of let me do my own thing. And Tecia actually really surprised me because before the night was over, she was just like, I want this and I want the world to know. And she's like she said, she's had her struggles with her family and stuff, but they've all come around for the most part and accepted things. Her mom threw it at her that it was a phase. I think we've all heard that in life. And then just the dynamic with her sister is really tough for her, but she's finding balance. And, I've watched Tecia throughout the last 8 years truly grow as a person and find her own way. And it's just, it's an interesting lifestyle, but like I said, the only thing that I can preach to everybody is stay true to what's in your heart, because at the end of the day, like, you're the one that can make yourself the happiest.
Wow. And do you think, because both of you are Latinas, do you think that makes it harder for families sometimes to I'm also Puerto Rican. My brother is gay as well. And sometimes it's harder for families, I think. The
Um,
culture.
I think the culture, I think most like Latinos and stuff, they come from Catholic. And so, you know, just the religious values and beliefs in that and the way everybody's raised. I definitely think it's a harder dynamic on the families and stuff. But I mean, I feel like now in today's day and age, times have changed so much that it's not necessarily still like a norm. A lot of people still struggle with it, but I do feel like things have changed quite drastically from even when I just came out, being younger. And, you know, I feel like families just kind of see things differently. But at the same time, like I said, I mean, human beings, the way we react is out of love or fear. So initially, I think for most parents, like, of course, a lot of people, especially men really struggle with the fact that like their sons are gay. And that's just a masculinity thing. So I think there's always going to be some sort of struggle, but I think it's just kind of getting over that fear and what life is going to look like. And then once they see that things can be like truly different and we're all just people, that's where shift truly comes from.
So do you think it's easier for a woman fighter who is, LGBTQ than a man fighter, a male fighter?
In my opinion, I'd say yes. I don't think there's really any openly gay fighters. There was one, I can't remember his name, I'm sorry, but he is Latino. I remember him coming out. I don't know if he came out as gay or just bi. And all of a sudden there's like lots of news media of him like being open with it. It may have been last year or the year before when he like was open about it. And honestly, I'm sorry, I can't remember who it was. But outside of him, like I don't know any openly gay fighters.
I think the thing for women though, I think it's a huge thing. So you get into girlier sports such as like volleyball, and it's just like, oh, like that's considered straight. You see softball players, basketball players, soccer players, like soccer players are like a mixture. But then most people, I think it's common to make assumptions with basketball players, softball players. And then in fighting, I mean, you take us women and we're out there and we're doing like a male dominant, it used to be such a male dominant sport, and fighting is known as like being tough and just like bloody, gory, like all the things that makes it. I think the initial assumption for fighting is that most female athletes are gay. I think in this sport, it's kind of a shocker when it's a little bit more of like, oh, they're actually straight, or like you didn't grow up with anger issues or different things like that.
That's true. The anger. And how are you? Talk to us about so being Mexican, Raquel, and Tecia being Puerto Rican, what you are going to teach your daughter about your cultures,
Oh, for me, I'm definitely trying to teach Alea Spanish. Let me see if she comes here and she'll say it. She knows a few words. Let me see. She's playing with the air freshener. So that's my 100% goal, because growing up, my mom is Portuguese, so my mom doesn't speak Spanish, and I grew up with my mom when my parents divorced. So learning Spanish was from school and friends, and then just really wanting to learn Spanish because I'm Puerto Rican, and like growing up that. Now I'm not sure, they call them Los Savo kids or whatever, but growing up they're like, oh, you're not Hispanic, you don't speak Spanish. And I'm like, just because I don't speak Spanish doesn't mean that. Like my parents were born here, so like it's different. My grandparents were born in Puerto Rico, so for them, like my dad, and they taught my dad Spanish, but then as generations go and they get more Americanized, like they stop teaching Spanish oftentimes. So I made myself learn it. But yeah, I'm trying to teach her to learn Spanish. I'd love her to learn, for one. And then Raquel's family is a very big Mexican family on her mom's side, and they do all the traditional Mexican dishes and like traditions and stuff.
Mine is like tradition and culture. So I want Alea to really learn just like the culture, the warrior spirit, all the different traditions, the food. Everybody sits here and they're like, oh, you should drop down to 125 pounds because I have my Mexi roll. Like, don't be fooled. Those are just my genetics. And But it's just like, you know, I want her to enjoy like all that good home cooking, how to do everything from scratch, the different like medicines, at-home remedies that my great-grandparents passed to all of us, the plants that you grow in the backyard and you go out and pick the leaves, dry them out, do the different things, you know, the confetti eggs and different things they're becoming more popular into the United States now, but a lot of it just stemmed from Mexico and the Mexican culture. And then just family dynamic, you know, I mean, my family is huge for just family dinners. We have a family dinner once a week and there's at least 20 of us there. And then holidays gets even larger than that. Our cousins and I, we were just talking about planning a family reunion, and that's just going to be something huge. But I just want Alea to learn all that. You know, I want her to be raised the way that I was raised, and just with the love and support and the culture to it all and all the good food. And I didn't learn Spanish. I tried learning Spanish. I took Spanish in school, but my Nana's side of the family is from Spain and my Papa's side of the family is from Mexico. And so my Nana and Papa always had an argument in the dialect, and they would just sit there and argue back and forth. And if my Papa would say something, my Nana's like, no, that's not what this means. It means this. And so they taught us like the most common stuff, but then it was just like, we're not going any further than that. So then I tried to take it in school, and like, it was so different just learning it on such like a proper platform that I just really wasn't interested. So, you know, Tecia and I go back and forth sometimes, and then she'll try to sit here and say certain things, but then she gets carried away with it. And it's like, hey, slow down. I understand it a little bit more than actually speaking it, because my great grandma, which is my Papa's mom, before she passed away, all she ever did was speak Spanish to us kids. And so she would speak Spanish, but then we would respond in English. And so I just sit here and I watch her with Alea. And then, of course, Alea has all these little, you know, the cards that say different things and whatnot. So I'm learning right along with her.
Yeah, Alea's actually Puerto Rican and Mexican. So she has both best worlds. Yeah. She's
Nice.
She's a boy maybe. But let's see if I don't know if she can do it. Can you say amo? Amo.
Say it louder, mommy. Yeah, she's shy.
Amo.
So
she can say amo, mama, amo, mom. She goes mas. She says hola.
She says agua.
Agua. She has like 4 or 5 words.
She's learning little things.
She just turned 1 year old, so the fact that she even talks is crazy. She says over 60 words like in English, but Spanish she has about like 5 words probably.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people actually get confused because they're like, you know, sometimes they're like, how does she look like both you and Tecia? And then, you know, everybody just kind of like makes their assumption just because Tecia was pregnant, like she's Ticia's or whatnot, like she's both of our baby. But I actually went through egg retrieval in 2021. Yes. So I did egg retrieval. And so Alea is actually my embryo, and then carried her. And from the process of carrying her, Ticia's mitochondria DNA got passed as well. So fun little facts that people don't actually understand the science behind it.
Yeah, but the owner was Puerto Rican too, so that's why she's
That's very cool.
Yeah, but like, see, this is one of the things that I have for her. It's like this little card thing. Let me see, I put it on.
But it'll like read it to her, and it'll pronounce like English and Spanish.
Let me see, mommy. Should I put it in?
You shouldn't have started around that. She's gonna freak out.
Mother. Yeah, so it's like it says in Spanish and English. It's a really cute little thing, and then you just switch it out like.
Did you decide what you want her to call each of you?
Yes.
So I am permanently Mama, and then Tecia she's Mommy, and then we'll go to Mom.
But honestly, Alea says Mom all the time right now.
Yeah, so.
She doesn't say really Mommy. She says Mom and Mama, so she'll like wake up. She's the cutest thing. She's so happy. She wakes up, gives us a kiss on the lips, and she's like, "Amo, Mama. Amo, Mom." It's the cutest thing ever.
She's in the best phase right now.
Yeah. If I could ask you one more question and about Hispanic Heritage Month that we could use for Hispanic Heritage Month. And if Tecia, when you answer yours, if you could say it in Spanish. I heard a
challenging her.
of you speaking Spanish. But I didn't want to do the whole thing in Spanish because it would go back and forth. But what does it mean to you to be a role model, for young kids, young girls who want to be in the UFC but who say, I want to be like her, Raquel?
For me, for me, I always tell my fans, because a lot of people get so inspired and they just tell me all the things, and I'm like, as much as I'm inspiring you, you guys inspire me too. It's a positive circle all around. I love being able to follow my passion, and have my platform to where I can just teach other women, young girls, just kids in general, I mean, the kids are the ones that melt my heart the most, but for the young women out there, and just teaching them how to be brave, strong, courageous, truly be themselves. And that, I went through a career where everybody laughed in my face, where I'm the world champion, and people are still telling me how much I suck, or I can't do this, or I can't do that. And I love constantly showing people, but just staying true to myself and showing people that I can go out there and do that, and inspiring those younger kids, or, those younger women, or even just women my age, to actually find that motivation, and that you can go out there and you can conquer whatever you put your heart and your mind to. That's something that is truly huge to me.
And as a Mexican American, to be the world champion as well, what does that mean to you?
It's everything, I feel like, especially in the Spanish culture, like, there's such a strong warrior spirit there. But, I feel like they truly, opportunities are a little bit different. And so there's a point to where I feel like Mexicans just really go out and prove themselves different. They're extremely hardworking and everything else. So I feel like that's truly just something that's fulfilled in all of this. And just being able to be a part of this culture and everything that I feel, the way that I was raised, the traditions, the values, the morals, and everything that I was raised around, and to go out there and just be on the biggest platform, it's almost like winning the world title. It's something that I still have not been able to put into words for me, but it's everything. I hold it near and dear to my heart. It means everything for me to go out there and live the life that I live, but to just continuously inspire, both cultures.
And Tecia, to you, te puedo hacer la pregunta en español para ¿qué significa para ti el dar este ejemplo a las jóvenes, ser una mujer fuerte, lesbiana, con tu familia, con tu esposa, con tu hija, que estás en el deporte a tus 34 años?
Sí.
Y sigues dando un buen ejemplo.
Por empezar, me siento bien orgullosa de ser latina, de ser boricua. Sé que tengo muchos jóvenes que me siguen en Facebook, Instagram, en todos lados, y quiero que ellos sepan que pueden hacer lo que quieren en la vida. Sé que en muchas familias las mujeres, las papás no les gustan que ellas pelean porque dicen, la mamá dijo a ella, eres tan bonita, no puedes pelear, no quiero que algo pase en tu cara. Pero para mí, me siento que mujeres pueden hacer mucho, que podemos ser fuertes, podemos ser bonitas al mismo tiempo, y podemos llegar a un lado como ella, ser campeona del mundo. Y quiero que siempre soy un ejemplo bien buena para los jóvenes. Y no sé, yo sé que el parte de mí que es boricua me da todo el apoyo, el poder de seguir luchando y peleando en ese deporte. No sé si fue bueno, pero estoy practicando el español todavía.
Muy bien, sí. Bueno. Very well. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I hope you didn't lose the baby.
She's running around somewhere. I don't know.
It's crazy because it's like, this is that dynamic we're trying to figure out. Just because, I mean, if I'm doing an interview, Tecia can watch the baby or vice versa. And then now it's like, we're home with her. We spend all the time with her. Like, we love having the baby and being around her, but we're trying to figure out that dynamic. But Tecia and I talked about it, and we just think it's the coolest thing because so many people see us as the fighter. They see us on TV and whatnot. And I think a big thing is to also learn us as people. So this interview, I mean, she's made her noise, she's done things, but that's real life, and it's us being moms and just kind of navigating through it all and stuff. And so we get to look back on this one day and just kind of see all the different things. And we also get to show her how she was.
I think with COVID and everything, it normalized a lot of things, like I'm at home right now because I don't know, I was writing another piece about an Olympic athlete and I was like, I won't make it to work to do the interview in a little room. So that's why, you know what I mean? Like things are, and I'm like, told my daughter, keep the dogs down there. So there was always a potential that the dogs were going to come to the door and start barking, but it's things.
Life.
Yeah.
I think that's what makes it really cool is just showing just the reality of it. There's so much more to it and whatnot. And like, nothing's perfect, but it's our own perfect little world. And this is how we're navigating through.
I really am thankful.
No, it was great.
I loved it. Thank you for having us on. And we look forward to talking again one day.
Yes, me too.